Hey, welcome to 49ers After Dark as Jessie Naylor. I'm Grant Cohn. Jesse has that really cool neon sign in the back, and Larry has one too. And I just realized that I don't have a neon sign and I need to get one. So that's what I'll be thinking about when I'm pretending to listen to Jesse talk about football tonight. It's so good to see everyone. How are you, Jesse? You look terrific.
I am fantastic, Grant. The question is, what is the neon sign of? Is it a silhouette of you or what? I don't even, you don't have a
That's
logo
the
or
problem.
anything.
I don't even know. That's why I probably don't have one. So
I
I'll
think
figure
it
it
should
out.
be a silhouette of you. That'd be good.
I wanted to say shout out to your son, Maddox, who's a big Lamar Jackson fan. So am I. I just became one. So we have that in common. So I'm a person.
What does your dad think of Lamar? I wish he would have delved into that a little bit more because going into the game, he didn't seem to have a lot of respect for Lamar. What does he think now?
He called him the most dangerous weapon in football, but he says he's not a good enough pocket passer for his liking.
Mhm.
Um, that's a preference. I'm not. I don't really care much about pocket passing. I think he's good enough in the pocket for what he does outside the pocket, and he gets outside so effortlessly. I think he's a top 3 quarterback in the league. That's how I feel about it. After seeing him in person, good luck keeping him in the pocket, man. That's hard.
Was it different seeing him in person versus watching him
Yeah.
on TV?
I mean, in the pocket, he seems a little indecisive, and he doesn't necessarily see every open receiver. But the play's not over if he misses that. And then once he gets outside, it's just like I don't really see how you stop him at all. I don't get it.
Yeah.
So,
He's
but we're not talking
pretty
about
good.
Lamar anymore. I want to talk about Debo. Debo has a lot to say. He has sort of, I mean, he's responding to people, but also engaging in picking fights, not picking fights, but engaging in fights with Micah Parsons and Cam Newton. Would you like to tell the good folks who watch the show what Debo said to each one?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, he told his response to Cam was pretty short lived, but he said, "Stop texting me. 2 weeks ago, you wanted me on my show after talking about my quarterback, which is a little bit strange. Stop texting me. Stop being a fan. I'm moving on from you." Then he went to Parsons and was like, "I don't know why you're talking about us. You guys have lost 2 in a row. And last time I checked, we won 42-10. Shouldn't you be talking about the Cowboys?" So Debo's going in on his critics. Here's the thing is I know a lot of 49er fans love this stuff. And I'm usually for the riffraff a little bit. But when it comes to Debo specifically, where I find issues or take exception is the timing.
Mhm.
The last time he got into this big thing with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, it was during the time that Debo wasn't playing and the team was in the middle of a 3-game losing streak. So now you get into this thing with Cam and Parsons, and it's like, Debo, you didn't play the best game just this last Monday, and your team lost. Why are you talking to other people and addressing critics that are outside the building at the worst times when you're not playing or when you're not playing good and the team is losing? That's my only frustration with it.
It just seemed like an obvious bad time to do this. I understand the impulse to clap back at your haters. Dude, I have a lot of haters and I like clapping back. But man, you just lost. And in that game, you personally, Debo, got targeted 12 times and you caught 4 of them. So I'm pretty certain when you did that segment with Kay Adams, she probably showed you her questions beforehand. And if she didn't, you should have asked her to because she would have said yes. And you could have okayed or vetoed whatever you wanted. And after a loss like that and a performance like that from you, good idea to say, you know what? It's a bad week for me to talk about someone on the Cowboys or someone who retired. Like, and even the one about Cam Newton, you tried to clown Cam Newton, but you said it in a way that makes that Cam is saying you lied. Well, I don't actually have your phone number. Maybe Cam's representative reached out to Debo's agent about, a media opportunity, but you made it seem like Cam's a jilted lover who won't leave you alone on your phone. Like, don't do that. That's a bad look.
Yeah, it's an interesting look, but to me the timing, it's all about the timing. I have no problem with trash talk. I enjoy these athletes being who they are. But even Kay Adams seemed a little bit uncomfortable. She brought it up and then almost instantly regretted it. It was like, okay, moving on. Did you see what Gronk said? And then he kept going and she's like, okay, all right, moving on. Like,
Yeah.
it's so funny.
Yeah. Like Debo wanted to talk about it more than she did at that point. She was like, okay, I'm sort of leading him into a bad area and he's sort of being petty. And I don't think this reflects well on either of us. So maybe we'll stop.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I like it though. Do it again, Debo.
Well, let me ask you this. Obviously, it's something to talk about, but do you have a problem with what Debo's doing, or is it the timing, or neither? Do you just like it?
I mean, I like it because it's something we can talk about, and it's like, you know, a viral moment. But if I were his agent, I'd have been like, no, Debo, we talked about this. No, don't do that. Or Kyle. Man, it's the wrong week to be getting into a spat with Micah Parsons. And Debo and his fans will be like, well, Micah started it. What is this? Elementary school? He started it? Ignore him. Ignore Cam Newton. You don't have to respond to Cam because Cam was talking about Brock Purdy. I'm talking about Brock Purdy. What are you going to say about me? I'm in the locker room every day. Say something to me. You have to respond to all your critics if you're going to pick out those two. So just stop, man. Focus on you. Focus on you. Because you caught 4 of 12 targets last week and dropped some.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily disagree with what he's saying. I'm on Team Debo. I'm on the 49ers side of things. I agree. Why is Parsons talking about Brock Purdy? Especially the Parsons one for me is interesting because he's been talking up Brock Purdy all year, and then all of a sudden he just comes out of the woodworks to be like, well, it's kind of bummy. True. Like, well, hold on. You said he was a good quarterback. You defended him going into the last game. So I agree with what Debo's premise is. I just don't like the timing. You came off of a loss where you played a team for the number 1 seed in the whole NFL, basically, to be the favorite going into the playoffs, and you got beat at home on Christmas, and you're worried about this stuff? I don't know, man.
Thank you, Debo. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Please don't stop. Kyle probably would like you to stop. But 2 in 1 day, Micah and Cam, thank you. And thank you, Kay, for getting those questions okayed. Has your opinion of Brock Purdy changed after this? I'm going to call it a meltdown. 4 interceptions, whether or not they were his fault. He had a couple that were dropped. I thought it was a meltdown. What do you think? Has your opinion changed?
No, I don't think so. But I also wasn't screaming from the rooftops that he's a top 5 quarterback or any of those things. So no, my opinion hasn't changed. I think Brock's good. I don't think that this game is who Brock is permanently. I'm not worried about Brock going forward. I don't think that he's just going to melt down and become a terrible quarterback because of this game. I think that Brock is fine, but I also don't think he's elite. So for me, no, my opinion has not changed of Brock. I think that he's good. I think this team can win a Super Bowl with him, and I think he'll be fine going forward. But overall, I think that maybe some of the talk has cooled down around Brock as far as what he is right now, what he eventually will be. Maybe some people's opinions have cooled, and that's okay too. I get it. It's Johnny come lately. This league is a week-to-week league. It's a year-to-year league. And when you come off of a bad game, it makes sense that people might change their opinion of Brock Purdy. Me personally, I haven't changed my opinion at all, though.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying this during his winning streak. Like, look, he's a damn good quarterback, but I don't consider him elite. And my dad was pressing me on that. Like, what's the difference? Like, isn't he a top 5 quarterback? Like, no, I don't think he's a top 5 quarterback. I'm not sure that he's a top 10 quarterback. He might be. He's perfect for this system. But I think what this game did, for my opinion of Brock Purdy, is it refined it. Like, now, if he's going against a great defense that has great linebackers and safeties, I'm worried about him. Like, not just like he might lose the game, like he might throw a lot of picks. Because I keep trying to figure out why did he throw so many picks in training camp? He wasn't working on stuff. Something was going on. Well, he was going against a great defense with great linebackers. He wants to throw over the middle. Fred Warner's there. Good luck. So he was doing other things that he wasn't as comfortable with, and the interceptions were piling up. That happened against Baltimore. happened against Cleveland. So I just wonder with him going forward, like, and again, there's not that many defenses that have this combination of players anyway. But that's a bad matchup for Brock.
We're having the same. It's interesting because I feel like we're having some of the same conversations that we did during that losing streak, and particularly that Cleveland game. Because really, when you look at Brock and what he's done all season, he played pretty well for big chunks of that Minnesota game, as well as the Bengals game.
Yes,
right. He definitely threw the interceptions, and you can't overlook that per se.
The Cleveland game when he was bad for a long time.
That was the one. Yeah, that was the one where that was the anomaly compared to the rest of the season, and even those other two losses. But now it's happened again.
And Baltimore have in common.
Yeah, well, they can get home with 4. That's one. Mm-hmm. They have great back ends of their defense. That's 2, and so they can keep up. But when you look at it, and I said it then, and I think everybody agrees, and we're going to say the same thing now. There's just not many teams that can do this. Is there a blueprint to stop Brock in this offense? Yeah, maybe, if you have elite players all over the defense. So not many teams can do this.
What I think is interesting, you don't necessarily need elite defensive linemen because he's elusive, the ball comes out quickly. You need elite coverage. Linebackers, safety, corners. All of them have to be elite. If there's one weakness, Kyle Shanahan and Brock are going to find it. And the Niners have a weapon at every single position that they don't let you off the hook. But Cleveland and Baltimore have studs at linebacker, safety, corner. And they can really cover the Niners' weapons. And all of a sudden, Brock has to be that game changer that Cam said he's not. And maybe he will prove that he is in the playoffs, but in this game, he wasn't. Well, he was a game changer in a bad way.
Yeah, and in the opposite direction. Yeah, I mean, Kyle Shanahan's really built this offense to exploit linebackers, and he's done it since day one. The moment that Juszczyk was brought in, you kind of saw the picture of what it was they were trying to do. And then they went and got McKinnon, and you're like, okay. Mm-hmm. He thinks that there's a weakness of linebackers in the NFL. That is the way to exploit defenses, and he's done a fantastic job with it, and they continue to do that. They really put linebackers in conflict. Not just with running backs and tight ends and the fullback, play action, running deep digs, in routes. Everything is in breaking and putting them in conflict. But when you do have the good linebackers that have safeties over the top that can really help out as well, it makes that very, very hard. And quite frankly, Kyle Hamilton he's in a league of his own right now. He's the best. He should be DPOY. He really should. A performance like that, it felt like there was 3 of them on the field. He was everywhere, absolutely everywhere.
They have Marlon Humphrey on the outside who can also play in the slot.
Played fantastic as well.
Yeah. So look, I think that's it's interesting because the Niners have such a good supporting cast. And people say, how much is it Brock? How much is it everyone else? Well, when you face a team like Cleveland or Baltimore, it's more of an even playing field. Like, yeah, the Niners are great. That's the best defense in the league. They match up. So I think that you see a little bit, Brock gets isolated more. And I'm not saying he's this that we saw in Baltimore or he's what we saw against Cleveland, but it's concerning that he could play that poorly against those defenses.
What I think it does do is for me, when you watch someone week in and week out perform the way that Brock has, and in a good way, it makes you question, like, man, because I see this a little bit differently as far as who he is. You start to really question your acumen. Do I really know what's going on here? Because this kid is playing phenomenal, but I don't necessarily think he's that guy. And then when you have a game like this, it's like, oh, okay, maybe I'm not crazy.
Okay,
maybe I'm not taking crazy pills.
Because you were at training camp too, like you saw that. It's like, what was that? Oh, okay. Yeah. It's like if he was facing the Ravens every day in training camp, it would look like this. Because as good as Brock is, he has clear limitations that only certain defenses can exploit. I don't know what the word is.
Yeah, isolate. I mean, only certain defenses can take advantage of happening. Yeah,
yeah. Eagles weren't one. Cowboys weren't one.
No,
I don't think the Rams are one. No, but they exist. Are the Chiefs one? They have a really good defense. I'm not really sure about their linebackers.
They have very, very, very good linebackers, very good secondary. Yeah, they might be one.
That's another one. It's like Mahomes is having a tough year and no one can catch his passes, but the Niners will let you scramble them to death on offense as a quarterback.
It's true.
And if you have a really great defense, Brock Purdy has had some troubles. He'll shred a mediocre defense. He'll shred a bad defense. Just wait to see what he does to Washington this week. But that's not the
yeah, he's going to go off against Washington. That's for sure going to happen.
All right, let's play some prize picks. Boom. They don't have any Niners yet, but we can still play for fun. Joe Flacco. Who we got?
Man, what a resurgence, man.
Joe Flacco, 199.5. I think you do more than that, or 232 if you want to get real spicy.
I mean, the 199's easy. What's the 274? What's that about?
If you're a goblin, if you're a demon, if you probably get more money. Should we do that one? Because he's so hot right now. Now the Jets have a great pass defense. Might be tougher for him.
Yeah, I don't like that one. I like the 232 though. Let's do that one.
Yeah, let's do 232.
I'll take more.
How about Trevor Siemian against Cleveland?
No, whatever.
173.5, less or more. That's funny as hell.
Oh man, I am too, but 173 is just not a lot of yards, man.
No.
I'll say more because they'll be behind and he'll need to throw. Yeah,
you might get some yak. Okay. All right. What about Kyler 223.5 against Philly?
More. Philly's defense is awful.
It's awful. Good call. Okay, that's another good one. I think we're pretty much got all of them right so far. How about Josh Allen 238.5 against New England?
Less.
It's good defense.
Yeah, I'm gonna say less.
Less. He'll be running.
They'll be running.
How about Dak 282.5 against Detroit? 282.
More.
And a half.
He's at home. More. He's a completely different quarterback at home.
No way. So he's like Goff.
Yeah, I mean, look at this split home and away. Oh, way different quarterback.
What about Goff? 253.5 on the road against Dallas.
More.
Okay. There you go. Joe Flacco, more. Trevor Siemian, more. Kyler Murray, more. Josh Allen, less. Dak Prescott, more. Jared Goff, more. Me and Jesse are very optimistic people.
Hey, I took Josh Allen less.
Yeah, well, that's Josh Allen. I mean,
and I'm a big Josh Allen guy.
So. Why did you go less for Josh Allen? Because that was the most controversial. Everyone wants to know in the chat.
Yeah, division game. New England's got a very good defense. They'll keep away with the run game, and Buffalo's really started to insert the running game of their own. This is the first time in Josh Allen's career he's had an actual running game, and it's completely changed the way that they play offense in a good way.
Are they going to make the playoffs?
Yeah, they're going to win their division, I think.
That's
Miami's going to lose this. Miami's going to lose this week to Baltimore, and then Buffalo's going to win out, and they're going to beat Miami next week to win the division. That's my guess.
That's one team I think the Niners would prefer not to play in the Super Bowl if they make it. The Bills.
I think teams with elite quarterbacks you want to avoid.
Teams with elite quarterbacks you want to avoid. Jessie Naylor. Write it down. He said it on December 27th. Use promo code.
Real profit over here.
I'm trying to get on this action. Call these prize picks. These are the right picks. We make them right every time. I don't think we've ever gotten one wrong.
Ever.
You want to play? Use promo code Cohn COHN. Get that 100% deposit match up to $100. That's right. Thank you, prize.
Did you see the guy? Did you see the guy this weekend who had a $5 14 player parlay and won like $439,000 on a $5 bet?
No. Was it on Prize Picks?
I don't know. Maybe.
Good for that guy.
$5, 14-person parlay.
Okay. So big game. Here's the thing. The Niners have a big part of their identity this year, 2023 identity, is their unwavering belief that Brock Purdy is an elite quarterback. Like Deebo Samuel seems to really believe it and gets upset when people say otherwise, like Cam Newton. Trent Williams, same way. Like it was after a win a couple of weeks ago. He went on a whole thing on national television, right on the field, and then in the locker room after the game, talking about, man, if you don't think Brock Purdy is an elite quarterback, you either haven't watched the film or you don't know ball. And that's been the Niners' attitude all year. We have an elite quarterback and the rest of the league just doesn't know, but they're going to learn the hard way. Then he goes out and does something like this that makes you wonder, do you think they have lost a little bit of that belief? See what I'm saying? I'm not saying like, do they
I'm going
think
to
he
say
sucks?
something a little controversial. No, I'm going to say
Okay.
something a little controversial here. I don't know that they ever had the belief that he was
Okay,
the quarterback.
there it is. You went there and said it, but it makes a lot of sense. You have to say it so much. Do you really believe it?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at quotes from those players and the way that they've talked about him, you can pull up very similar quotes talking about Jimmy Garoppolo. And what's interesting about that, and I'm not trying to say these players are even on the same level. He's way better than Jimmy. And I believe the 49ers think he's better than Jimmy. However, when you can find quotes like that for Jimmy, who we know is not good, and who Charvarius Ward recently was on with Eric Armstead, and they basically spilled all the beans. Remember Eric Armstead about 2 years ago, the way that he talked about Jimmy was as if he was the savior of the franchise. Without Jimmy Garoppolo, I owe my career to Jimmy, is the way that he talked about Jimmy Garoppolo. Without him, I'm on a losing team year in and year out. I thank Jimmy for everything that this team has done. Literally is what he said. So then, less than 2 years later, to be on a podcast and laugh when Charvarius Ward is talking about, yeah, man, we knew that when we played you in the Super Bowl, all we had to do was put it on Jimmy and you weren't going to win. It's like, yeah, we knew too.
We're like, yeah,
bro, you owed your whole career to him 2 years ago. So I can't believe what any of these guys say about their own teammates, because of course they're going to talk them up. Of course they're going to make them better or sound better than what they are. Of course they're going to defend them. I think they believe Brock is good. I think they believe they can win a Super Bowl with Brock, which is the most important thing, quite frankly, because that's all you need is to win a Super Bowl. Do I think that they believe in their heart of hearts that Brock Purdy is elite? I don't believe they ever thought that. I really don't. So no, I don't think they've lost confidence, because I think they still believe they can win a Super Bowl with Brock.
Okay, good answer. Good answer. Let me ask it another way. Has Brock lost confidence in Brock? Because the way I looked at Brock is that he thought he was elite and that Monday was his opportunity to show the world. And part of the reason he pressed so hard and snowballed so magnificently is because he really wanted to show it. Why did he throw that pass to Debo in the end zone on 1st and 10 from the 15 when he wasn't open, when Juszczyk was? Same reason he threw that pass to Ayuk in the end zone in the first drive against Jacksonville when he absolutely shouldn't have, but he got away with it. He wants to show that he's more than a game manager. I asked him if he thinks he's a game manager. He's like, I don't want to answer that question, which is a no, respectfully, Mr. Cohn. That's what I think.
Yeah. Has he lost confidence in himself? I think maybe in this game, there was times where it felt like he kind of lost a little bit of confidence. I think overall, probably not. I think what it has done, though, is recentered the thought process that, hey, this league is easy. I remember when Justin Fields is a great example of this. Remember in the preseason, he's like, this game is easy. This game is not that fast. And then he started, and it was like the worst start he could have to his career. It's like, oh, what do you think of the league now? I think when things are going so well for players, it is easy to get wrapped up in the thought that, oh man, we're just so much better than everybody else. I'm so much better than everybody else. God, I'm good. And then when this happens, it's like, oh, well, I just got humbled a little bit by the league and what they can do. So I don't think he's lost confidence, but I do think that it's maybe brought him down a notch back to reality as far as what he can and cannot do in this league.
Okay, final question. Has Kyle Shanahan lost confidence in Brock Purdy? And the reason I ask is we've seen him lose confidence before. In 2019, it seemed like Jimmy had built up some. There were some shootouts where Kyle really leaned on Jimmy. Then there was that one game against the Vikings in the playoffs, and Kyle got scared and really went away from Jimmy for, a couple of games. The fact that Brock did this in a big game against a good team, is that going to linger in Kyle's mind? And if he has like in this game, he threw 3 picks in the first 4 possessions and Kyle didn't flinch. He kept going with the same game plan. If he throws a pick on the first possession of a playoff game, is Kyle going to say, you know what? I'm not going through this again with Brock Purdy. I know what he can do. He could melt down right now. Is that going through Kyle's head? Tell me, you've been in his head. I need to know.
Yeah, this one's so tough. think maybe to a certain extent, not in a bad way, not in the fact that he's going to take the ball out of his hands like he did to Jimmy. That was a complete loss of confidence. And then somehow he regained it for the Super Bowl, which was really weird. But I think in Brock Purdy's, I think what he's now realizing is, hey, I cannot put a whole game on his right arm. We're not there yet. Maybe I thought we were. Maybe I thought that we could when we played a good defense. We're not quite there. So I've got to be more balanced in my play calling. I've got to continue to put him in good positions to go win games. And I think that if the game's on the line, he won't hesitate to put it on his right arm if he has to, but he would prefer not to. And I think before he didn't care either way. And so I think maybe the confidence has dropped a little bit, but not to an extent where he's just going to take him out of the game plan completely. I don't think we're there yet.
No, I don't. I'm with you on that. I did feel like Kyle lost confidence in him that day. Like by the end, I don't know. It seemed like, well, I asked Kyle today what, it was interesting. I asked him what Brock could learn from this performance. And he said he thought he played his worst after the interceptions. Did you hear that?
I didn't catch that. No.
He said, look, the interceptions happen, right? 3 of them were fluky. We could say that 3 of them weren't your fault if we're being real generous to you. But then you played really poorly after the interceptions. And what Kyle essentially was saying is you let bad luck, things out of your control, for being generous, affect you going forward. That can't happen. And once he went down and Darnold came in, I thought Kyle Shanahan's play calling reflected more confidence in Darnold, but that could have just been a reflection of, look, Brock's rattled. Brock's been pressing. These 4 picks are way in his head. How could they not be? Sam hasn't done any picks today. Like, Sam hasn't done anything wrong. He's a little bit more of a clean slate mentally right now. I can go hurry up. I can be a little bit more, I can put a little bit more on his plate because maybe that's what it was.
I think Shanahan's confidence will go with Brock's confidence. If Brock continues to show that he's confident in practice and they come out the final 2 weeks of the regular season and he's letting it rip and doing all the things that Brock Purdy does, I think Kyle's going to be just fine. But if he starts to crumble a little bit and maybe it starts turning down throws that are deeper downfield in favor of checkdowns because he's a little gun shy, Kyle's going to be able to read that situation. So I think his confidence in Brock goes with Brock's confidence in Brock, really.
I was proud of this question. I thought of it on the spot, but I wanted to know, like, what do you want Brock to learn from this performance? Because I know that Kyle is up there defending him, but privately, he's also coaching him hard. So I asked him, what should Brock learn? He said, I thought the biggest thing for Brock was the way it went in the first half. I thought just between Brock and I just talking, where I thought he struggled the most was after the 4 picks. I thought his first pick was a bad mistake. I thought the next 3 were unfortunate ones that you don't make excuses for. There's just tough football plays, and they made some good football plays. But it's tough to play a lot of football after you have 4 picks, especially when you're down versus that type of defense. I think that was just the best experience for him, how to feel that, to know what's happened, to know why it's happened, and to still have to go out there and sling it around and play. I think that's the best experience you can get from that game. Meaning, like, everything's gone his way. He thinks this league is freaking easy. It ain't. And just because, like, you start, like, the clouds are raining on you that day and you have bad luck, the great ones shake it off. MVPs shake it off, because that game didn't start so well for Lamar Jackson either.
Well, and I'll say that I think Brock Purdy in the post-game press conference said all the right things.
Yeah.
He talked about that. Hey, it's easy to be a front runner, but what do you do when times get tough? How do you bounce back from that? And that's what I'm looking at. I want to be the same guy when things are going bad as I am when they're going good. I think he said all the right things. And, I think that Brock is very self-aware. I think Brock is intelligent, and I think he's naturally very confident in himself. So ultimately, I think he's going to remain confident, which means Kyle will remain confident. But, this is the first time it's happened to him in the NFL, and he is young. So you don't know until you know. So we'll find out. We'll find out over the next couple of weeks how this goes.
Today's his birthday.
There we go.
24.
Happy birthday.
24. That's incredible. So I think sometimes we forget how young he is and how short his career has been. and how few times he's been in situations that haven't been real in his favor. So let's give him some grace. Brock Purdy, happy birthday. Matt McEwen, sub Jesse. Hello again, Grant. LOL.
What's up?
Love you, Matt. Thank you for being such a loyal viewer. And you too, brother Bob. Iglet, thanks for not letting Larry slide. He got real quiet. He took it in a good spirit, but yeah, he wasn't defending himself. Ethan M says, games like this make me wish we had a head coach, not an OC.
Man, I was talking about this a little bit with Coach, and not that, I mean, everybody's different. I don't want Kyle to be somebody that he's not, but there was something about that halftime interview with Harbaugh when he came out. You didn't see it because it was on TV, but they asked him, hey, the first half was this. What do you do in the second half? And he stops for a second. He smiles. He goes, well, first of all, Merry Christmas to everybody. How about that? And then he just, with confident, with a smile on his face, proceeded to talk about the game and what he thought was going to happen and the adjustments they need to make. And then I watched his press conference today because I wanted to know what's going on with Kyle Hamilton. I'm curious to see if, is he done for the year? What's going on? That's a big loss for them.
A big fan, of course.
Right. And so he also starts the press conference. He's like, hey, everybody, first of all, thank you for everybody for being here. Really appreciate it. And then he goes into whatever it is that he needs to talk about. He's very personable. He's a leader of men. He's confident. He's just been doing it for such a long time. And then when you hear Kyle talk, it's like, man, he's so uptight. And as soon as the press conference starts, it's like, okay, we're here for business. Here's the injuries. All right, what questions do you have? And he can get smug sometimes. So I don't know. Just to me, I like the coach that's laid back and free. And his team, you can tell his team, they show a lot of gratitude. They show a lot of confidence. They're also very humble. Lamar Jackson, how many times did he pat a 49er on the helmet and tell him good job in between plays? In the most intense game where he's fighting to be the league MVP and you're fighting for league supremacy, how loose did the Ravens and Lamar Jackson seem? And that comes from their head coach versus the 49ers are so wound up, so uptight. Everything is so big. That comes from their head coach.
Yep, I agree. Well put. Good point. Chris Tallarico says, I'm glad that it took him out of the MVP race. He's not even the MVP of the team, let alone the entire league. Yeah, and that conversation needs to end anyway, man. Because the whole idea was like, this team is so much better than everyone else. Let's manufacture a narrative. Who is the MVP? Nah, forget that. It's neither of you. Go win the Super Bowl. That's all that matters. Matt McEwen says, I just feel when down by 10, we are going to lose. Well, there's a stat about that. But yeah, it does feel that way. Fish and Chips says, players will carry us to any Super Bowl, not Kyle Shanahan. It's players.
I mean,
Chris Tallarico says, linebackers and safeties are the weakness of Kyle's system. Doesn't matter who the quarterback is. All of his quarterbacks picks go to linebackers and safeties. That's why you need a playmaker at quarterback.
But then the thing is will Kyle allow a playmaker to be a playmaker anyways?
No.
That's the real question.
No. Fish and Chips says, system failure. Hey, nothing to do with me, Kyle Shanahan.
I think here's what I want. I want to say I think Kyle Shanahan's a good head coach. I think Kyle Shanahan has improved in a lot of his micro dealings with the media this year. But to me, there are still some personality flaws, some things to be desired with him. I don't think he's necessarily holding them back from winning a Super Bowl this year or anything like that. But there are some demons that he has to exercise before you can have full confidence that he and this team are going to get it done.
Matt McEwen says, new Brock defense, so-and-so threw this many picks. New Brock defense, so-and-so threw this many picks. Yeah, it's true. Well, Peyton Manning did it once.
I hate that.
How many times did he
weren't his fault?
No touchdowns and 4 picks in a game? Brother Bob says, PP said BP is offense operator equals game manager, right? Man, you had him backpedaling, Brother Bob. You had him backpedaling. Tony Vang says, thoughts on Jason Verrett's overall performance versus the Ravens. I thought he did good. Should Jason Verrett get more playing time versus Washington? He had a touchdown. 5 snaps, 1 was a touchdown. That was kind of strange him playing. Like, you pick that game to give him a test drive? How about next week?
Is Ambry Thomas is he hurt? Is he not? I'm confused.
I'm confused too. That was confusing. Chris Tallarico says Brock is not elite. They're overcorrecting for how they talked about Trey. Someone must have got to the organization, showed them how to treat a young quarterback. I can see that.
I think they are doing a good job in how they're handling Brock Purdy. I do agree with that.
Matt McEwen says Jimmy Granopolo cookie cutter responses for Brock.
Yeah,
you
maybe.
said Jimmy Granopolo, right?
Jimmy Granopolo, yeah.
Dave Barclay says, "What up, guys? I guess I missed a lot. It's recorded though. You can watch it. I love you, Dave." Chris Talarico says Kyle only has confidence in his scheme and CMC. Okay, so it was a scheme day against Baltimore. Jeremy Price, what up, dogs? Happy holidays. We're going to the Super Bowl, baby. Don't panic. We will get revenge.
Yeah. I mean, the interesting thing about this is the NFC doesn't really present a lot of roadblocks for the 49ers.
No. Kev F, new member. Thank you, Kev. Fish and chips. Why didn't you ask Kyle Shanahan what you learned from this game? That's what Brock learned from it.
The 49ers are interesting because they really talked yet again as if we play our best, we're the best team. It was nothing that Baltimore did.
You don't know that, but you don't know that anymore. Yeah.
It was us. It's like,
that's why they'd be like, hey, that's a humbling experience. Not when you say stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't seem like they take it. It doesn't seem like they look
better than us today.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like they look inward when they have losses like this, which is, you would think that they would learn lessons, and maybe they do, but it's hard to believe that they are when they say those types of things.
Dave Barclay, thank you so much. $50. Kyle chokes in the real big game this year. I don't think he has advanced. I just think he has a better team and has had a better game plan. He didn't give the Ravens the respect he gave Arizona. Why on earth did CMC only have 14 carries? Where's Mason? I will never understand that. But we have these questions about Kyle from a lot of his big games. Why didn't you run the ball more in the second half of the Super Bowl? We never really got a real answer for that.
Yeah, I'll come to his defense a little bit on the carry thing. So at halftime, I think it was a 16-12 split. It really should have been 15-13. And here's what's interesting. So when Brock Purdy threw that second interception, the one that was the corner blitz, and he tipped it and then it was picked off. When it happened, I said, man, you can't even be mad at Brock on this one. This was a great play by the defense. And it was still a great play by the defense. But here's what's interesting about that play. To me, it was a handoff first with an alert. And Brock decided to throw the alert. If he hands it off, CMC looked like he was in a gain quite a few yards. But instead, he took a carry away from CMC, which kind of evens that number out even more at halftime. And now, because you've thrown a pick, maybe the 49ers feel like, okay, well, to come back, we got to throw the ball. Like, would they start pressing a little bit? So I think that play right there really might have been a game changer as far as what the game plan was going forward. I don't know, though.
I feel you. I feel like Kyle figured it out. I'm going back and looking at my notes. So, Brock throws interception number 3. Okay. He throws pick 3. Baltimore gets the ball. Kicks a field goal. They're up 13-5 after 3 picks. Niners get the ball back, and it's the CMC drive. Finally. Okay? First play, Christian McCaffrey, outside zone to the right, gain of 3. Next play, a screen to McCaffrey, gain of 6. Next play, 3rd and 1, quarterback sneak. Next play, check down to McCaffrey for 8. Next play, inside zone to McCaffrey off the left for 39. Next play, inside zone off the left for McCaffrey for 9 yards and a touchdown. Like, they got it. It took you too long. It shouldn't have taken 3 picks, but you freaking got it. It worked. Then the Ravens get the ball. They hold it all the way to the end of the first half. The Niners come out with the ball in the second half, and they start off with outside zone to the right, which is not their best run play. Then they go 2 more passes, punt. Ravens score a touchdown. There's a pick on the next play. Ravens score a touchdown on the next play, and it's 30-12. It happened fast. Kyle figured it out. But that first drive in the third quarter was freaking terrible. That was a key moment. That first possession in the third quarter, man. You start with outside zone to the right. No. Why? You start with something to the left. Anything. I'm sure you have 50 runs that go to the left, man. Just saying.
No, man, shit,
Um,
no.
Nah, man.
That's all I could think of when you're like, no.
Hey,
Does anybody
if you're
ever
having a
say
bad
it sounds
day
like you got a case of the Mondays?
nah, man. If you get your ass kicked saying something like that.
Shit, no.
Thank you very much, Dave Barclay. Peterman, Channel 9. Kev F, new member. Thank you very much. Someone said more Office Space references, so now we're doing Lawrence today. Lawrence was also in Napoleon Dynamite and
So
Fresh
good.
Prince of Bel-Air.
So good. He was also he was in the Drew Carey show back in the day.
Drew Carey show. Life says Tom Brady entered the NFL in year 2000, played his first game 09, 30, 2001, threw his first 4 interceptions 10, 28, 2001. Fun fact. Is it fun? Is it fun?
I guess Brock's going to be the best quarterback of all time. Who knew?
It was okay. All right. But I just want to see, though. No, he played in 2001. He threw 4 picks in a game. Did he? He also threw 2 touchdowns, though. Show me a GOAT who threw 0 touchdown passes and 4 picks. I'd like to know. Maybe it happened. It's Nick for real says, why does Kyle forget his offense MVPs in big games? Mostert late in Super Bowl, Debo late in the NFC Championship game, CMC versus Ravens. How do you not use Christian on Christmas? I made this point. His name is Christian. It's Christmas. How do you...
How did you overlook that?
How did you overlook that?
But he thinks that Brock Purdy, or the league everybody thought that Brock Purdy was in the MVP race. So, I mean, he technically was putting it in his MVP's hands, was he not?
It's true. They believe the hype all day, every day. Kim says, I think Niners paying Brock is a huge mistake. How about y'all? That's next year.
Yeah,
but
I'm not worried about
if they had to do it this year, I'd be like, no. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I would say not yet. I would like to see another year. I'd franchise tag him is what I would do.
Tag him and bag him. Runa Pereira says, will Mac Jones get his $100 million now? Yes.
That was some of the funniest when somebody brought that up during that draft process. It was like the week before the draft. Somebody was like, where did Mac Jones get $100 million? And the way you laughed was so funny. That was one of my favorite shows ever.
I remember that. It was just maniacal. Official B&A Music 88 says fans, players, and media are treating this game like a mulligan. Living in Ravens media and fans would never tolerate that. They got more energy for Cam Newton than they did for Hamilton. Man, I'll say that one again because he gave $10 and really made it count. Fans, players, and media are treating this game like a mulligan. Can I just say, I love my coworkers. There was a conference call yesterday. Usually the conference call is to ask more questions about the previous game, and then Wednesday you start looking ahead. Man, I asked 2 questions about how they took the loss. Everyone else was asking about Washington and the cornerbacks and Jason Verrett and Jawan Jennings and injuries. It's like, whoa. Let's not let Kyle Shanahan off the hook. He has to answer for this game.
One of the questions today, the question that started it off, it was something weird like, what do you think of this obscure linebacker that nobody cares? Like, I forget what it was, but it was like, what? Is that what we're asking? We're asking about this obscure player that plays 20% of the snaps. What are we talking about? Why is this question being asked? I don't know. Bizarre.
Sometimes I think they just know Kyle Shanahan doesn't want a certain line of questioning and people don't want to make him mad. And that's what I'm there for.
You don't work for the 49ers.
Yeah. Dazza says, I thought we'd stop with BP comparisons to Hall of Famers and the greatest quarterbacks of all time. I think that's over. I think those days are over. All right, I got a question for you. Give me one NFC team the Niners would prefer to avoid, if there's one. And I'm not sure there is, but if you had to pick one, they'd prefer to not see. Who is it?
I think the 49ers are the clear best team in the NFC, and I said it earlier, and it's definitely funny when you hear me say it out loud, but you want to avoid elite quarterbacks. There's only one in the NFC, and his name is Matthew Stafford. If you can avoid playing a quarterback who can dictate your defense, it's going to happen. Yeah, sorry, Jared. If you play an elite quarterback, they dictate how that game's going to go. Doesn't mean they're going to play perfect, but there is not a defense that is going to stop them from doing what they want to do when they want to do it. And Matthew Stafford against the Ravens in the rain just put that on display. The Ravens are the best in the league at confusing quarterbacks. They threw everything they could at Matthew Stafford and nothing worked. He knew everything that was coming and he diced them up. He also low-key diced up the 49ers for about 3 quarters without Cooper Kupp. I would prefer to avoid playing Stafford and the Rams. Not saying that I'm scared of him, but out of all the quarterbacks, he's the one that I respect the most. And if anybody can go and get this done in the NFC, it would be an elite quarterback in Matt Stafford. So I'm going to go with him and the Rams.
You make a really good point. You know, he was struggling early on in the year. His quarterback rating against the Niners was 67. He threw 2 picks in that game.
But a lot of that was late. A lot of that was late, right? Where the first 3 quarters or so he was doing well, and one of the picks he did. He threw it directly in the chest of one of his players. I want to talk about context on picks. No defender got their hand in there and tipped it out or anything. It was right in the chest of one of his players, popped straight up in the air and got intercepted. So,
but what I want to say is he was kind of having like a middling season, at least statistically, until 5 weeks ago. I'm not sure what happened. Maybe Cooper Kupp came back 5 weeks ago. I got to check. But against Arizona,
Cooper Kupp, and then what is it? Kyron
Williams.
Williams. Kyron Williams came back as well. So once they got fully healthy on offense, now he's got everything.
Well, let me tell you the numbers. So the last 5 games, he's thrown 4 + 3 + 3 + 2, 14 touchdowns and 1 pick. Last 5 games.
Mm-hmm.
Quarterback ratings in those games in order: 121, 110, 103, 118, 120. Like, yeah, you don't want to face that team.
No,
you don't want to face that.
He's played some good defenses too.
Yes, he has. They destroyed the Browns, who really gave the Niners a lot of problems. They also put 31 points on the Ravens, who held the Niners to 19.
What were his numbers against the Ravens, and what were his numbers against the Browns? Out of curiosity.
Yeah, let me get you that. Against the Ravens, he had 294 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a 103 rating. And against the Browns, he had 3 touchdowns, no picks, and a 279 yards and a 110 rating. So, yeah, he was really good against both teams.
If he's on his A game, the 49ers defense isn't going to do squat about it. They're just
Meanwhile, Jared Goff just 3 weeks ago against Chicago on what? Was it? No, yeah, 2 weeks ago, December 10th, put up a quarterback rating of 54 against Chicago. Like
Dak Prescott
Purdy
against
wouldn't
Buffalo
even do that.
Was awful.
Sorry, Purdy. Yeah, it's really bad. So I'm with you on that. We know Jared Goff has thinkers like that.
Yep,
that's the thing. And then what I want to say about Stafford too, the thing about him was he was good for 2 picks in every game against the Niners, including this year. But so far this year, it's his 3rd year in the Rams system, and he has 9 picks only. His interception percentage is 1.8. He's not doing that this year, interestingly enough.
This is the first time in his career he's had a run game, I believe, as well. A consistent run game. And Kyron Williams is helping out.
And it's the first time since in 5 years that the Rams have had a run game. Ever since Todd Gurley went down, they haven't really been able to do anything on the ground. Working with guys like Cam Akers. Anyway, the Rams. I was thinking it'd be the Lions, but I'm with you. It's Goff. I'm sorry. Just for the same reason I never really took the Niners seriously with Jimmy Garoppolo. They have 2 really good running backs, 4 good wide receivers, and a nice tight end. I don't care. It's Goff. And a good all-line.
I mean, really, it's Stafford, because the defense isn't up to snuff, I don't think, for the Rams. I think Brock Purdy and the 49ers offense would do fantastic against that defense. But if I put Stafford on any NFC team, they instantly become the team that I'm the most worried about.
Yeah. Dave Barclay says, still not a Brock fan. Joe Montana threw 4 interceptions against the Bengals the first year he won the Super Bowl. Don't know how many TDs he throw. And what up with the players Niners are adding? Oh, yeah, fire Kyle. What's up with the players Niners are adding? Well, Sebastian Joseph Day is a legitimately good starting defensive tackle that the Niners absolutely needed. If they could get the Sebastian Joseph Day of safeties, they'd be in business.
Well, and they took him away from Dallas as well, so that's always helpful.
There you go. Brother Bob says, like PP said, Lamar is MVP because he has no weapons and thumped us at home, and Purdy has all the weapons in the world, thus he's an elite game manager. I like Zay Flowers.
I like Zay Flowers a lot. He's good.
I think he's really good. And I like Isaiah Likely. I think he's don't know if he's really good, but I think he's a nice player to have on your team. A good 4th or 5th option.
I think between him and Andrews, when Andrews comes back, that's going to be a hell of a 1-2 punch at tight end.
Hell yeah. Fish and Chip says you are closer to the fans than ever. The batshit questions in the presser don't come from YouTube creators. They are from weak traditional journalists. I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes the beat writers are very strong, but I think the way everyone looked at it this week was it was a blip. They beat themselves, all these turnovers. There's really nothing to talk about. They turned the ball over 5 times. What more? They're not going to do that the next time they face the Ravens. So what is even the point of asking? I don't see it that way. It's not my job to look at a loss the way the team looks at a loss. They're going to tell themselves they're still the best and it's within our control and it's all about us, what we have to do. Like, yeah, you're going to say that. I don't have to see it that way.
Here's what's interesting. I think that next time you play the Ravens, you're not going to have 5 turnovers. That's fair. At least you would think. But if I set the over under at 1.5, I think almost anybody would take the over. I think you'd be crazy not to. The Ravens are going to force turnovers on the 49ers. Now, can the 49ers defense match that maybe next game? That's possible. But they're going to force turnovers. That's going to be a matchup that haunts them no matter what. That's a tough matchup no matter how you slice it.
Mm-hmm. Well, unless they get Darnold in there, although he turned it over too.
Yeah, come on.
Brother Bob says, thank God Brissett isn't mobile because Bosa and Young. They just don't get it. I don't understand. Maybe it's a Ohio State thing. Last question for you, Jesse. Would boat racing the Commanders prove anything? And first, define boat racing a team.
Boat racing would just stomping them. I mean, winning by 3 scores. I mean, much like they did against the Eagles and Cowboys, that's a boat race. So the way that I see it is, no, absolutely not. And I think they're going to. And I think a lot of people are going to take this win and be like, oh, we'll see. They tried to implement some of the same things that the Ravens did. And because they didn't get it done, the 49ers have learned their lesson. No, I don't see it that way at all. The Commanders are really, honestly, I've got behind enemy lines here in 3 minutes. I thought about not doing it this week. That's how serious I'm taking this game. I don't think it's a serious game. I think the 49ers are going to win this game. They're going to win it handily. And I don't think it's going to tell us a damn thing. We're not going to learn anything about the 49ers that we don't already know.
Yeah, like I like that concept of not doing the behind enemy lines. I've been doing some of it too, and I was thinking the same thing. Like, what questions do I really have about Washington?
Yeah.
What are their strengths and weaknesses? Who gives a? Who cares? That's a tough one. You're gonna have to dig deep to try to find something.
Yeah.
What's the plan?
I'm gonna ask about just the team going forward. Basically, what does the franchise look like? Big picture, like that's the type of questions that are going to come up.
Yeah. So I think it's important for Niner fans to prepare themselves for Brock Purdy to throw for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns. And I think it's important for journalists to prepare themselves for that too. And don't be lazy. I know you're flying across the country and you want to justify the trip and your time and the money that your boss has spent on you, but don't go over there and be like, this was the best game of all time. No, we know what's going to happen. It doesn't matter. They're tanking. The test is the week after. And what sucks is that the Niners even have to play this game when someone important could get hurt.
Yeah, seriously. That's really the game, is can they get out of it healthy? That's the game.
It's like you're going to blatantly tank Washington. And why should you just give the Niners the win? Why even go through it? Give everyone their paychecks. Don't play the game. No one gets hurt. Forget Washington. That's what you were tanking. We take L's. Guess the league wouldn't like that.
No,
fantasy football wouldn't work. Couldn't do prize picks. Problems. Fish and Chip says, boat race when your opponent sinks on the Thames. There you go.
Nice.
But you're gonna do the.
I am, in 1 minute.
Right now, in like 30 seconds. So everyone go watch Jesse, like and subscribe to his channel, my channel. Thanks for watching. I'm done. I'll see you guys tomorrow with the coach. Peace.